Hello, Mighty Warriors. This is Alicia, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk to you about Song of Songs, which is the new series that's being preached at my church. It was a very emotional sermon, and Song of Solomon is one of those books that's very difficult to understand. So in this first lesson, it was very enlightening, and I want to share it with you. It was a blessing to me. I mean, I think I probably cried through the entire sermon. And the other service that I attended online was OCBF, Jonathan Evans. He also preached a very emotional service. So let's get into it. So Song of Songs. So basically what we learned about Song of Songs is that it was written by Solomon. And the reason why it was called Song of Songs is because Solomon had written a lot of songs. And so he was making Song of Songs like his ultimate song. He was trying to tell the reader that this is the song. The song of all the songs I've written. This is the song. And the basis of the story is a romantic relationship between a husband and a wife. And what really got me emotionally is that the woman in the Song of Songs, the wife, she is a Shulamite woman. And she is a picture of the bride of Christ, while the husband is a picture of Jesus. And the bride has this really sad story, and I identified so badly with the story, I just could not stop crying. So in the beginning of this story, and of course this is a series, so we're just going to talk about what he discussed and spoke on this particular weekend, was that she had not kept her vineyard. And what that means is that she had a moral failure, that she did not protect her chastity or her purity. And because of this, she was being punished by her brothers. They threw her out into the world to work as a man. And because of this, she was working in other people's vineyards and other people's yards, and or on other people's farms, and she was very tanned by the sun. She had been weather worn by the sun. And so she meets this shepherd, and when they meet each other, he comes to her as a shepherd, right? And so what this story really did is it really spoke to me, just like maybe like a modern day romantic comedy would speak to me. Sort of like, everything else that we've seen in the world on television is really a counterfeit of what Jesus is trying to say his love for his church, his bride, is. And I'm gonna switch this over here a little bit, but it's this very romantic story about how this shepherd meets his bride, and how she's weather worn, and she's worn out. She's being punished by her brothers because of this moral failure, and how he sees her, and to him, she is just everything. And she's very ashamed of, her complexion, because of, she's been working so hard, and she's not at her best. She hasn't been able to, beautify herself and care for herself like she would want to. Instead, she is working, and she's a worker out in the vineyards, but he still thinks she is everything. And so first, he meets her as a shepherd, but then later on he comes back as a king. And I know this sounds so familiar, because this is like roughly the premise of every Princess Diaries, romantic type comedy that you've probably ever seen. But the original story, the real story, which is about Jesus and his church, is in the Bible, and it's through this particular book, Song of Songs. And it is sort of like a romantic banter between the two, but just how much Jesus loves this bride, just how much he cares for her, even though she has made some mistakes. He redeems her. He redeems her. And so that was the first sermon that was preached this Sunday, and it was wonderful. It was beautiful. I cried the whole time because I can identify with that woman, with being someone who has failed and how it cost me so dearly. Try not to cry. And how Jesus redeemed me. I'm not going to cry. I'm always crying, but I'm not going to cry. All right, so then the next sermon also made me cry. And it was Jonathan, and he was talking about how we as children of the Father, how we have the ability to come to him as a child and ask for whatever we wish, and that a lot of times we approach him tentatively, but he gave a really good demonstration of what he meant. And he was talking about how Jonathan Evans is the son of Dr. Tony Evans. And he was saying how when he was young and he was graduating from high school and getting ready to go into college, he had all these scholarship offers, but he couldn't pass the SAT. He couldn't get the score. He couldn't get the score he needed. He couldn't get through it in the time allotted. And how he told his father to help him, and how his father just moved mountains to get him more time, to get him the help he needed, to help him in any way he could. All of his relationships, all of his connections, he pulled for the sake of helping his son. And he was saying, not all of us have fathers like that, but what God is saying is that a father like that would do anything for their son, right? How much more would your Father in heaven do for you? So when we approach God, we should approach him like a child who is just desperately in need and knows that our Father can help us, and with humility and just rush into his arms and just ask him for what we need, and of course he's our Father, so he knows what's best for us. But if it's something that he can get behind, how much more will he bless us? How much more will he help us? How much more will he provide for our every need? And so this was another one that just made me cry, because as my children are starting to get that age, my son is 17, he's going to graduate next year, and I'm very, very motivated to just give him and help him with whatever he needs in order to make that next step in life. And I know a lot of kids don't have that, but I'm ready. I'm like gearing up for it. Like, whatever we got to do, Lord, just help us make it happen, because these are those days. And so I really identified with that sermon, just about being able to go to your Father when you're in need and desperation, and just asking him and having him move mountains. So I am going to stop there. Like I said, it was very, very emotional Sunday. I really, as I was watching online, I was watching people cry in the pews, and I was like, my goodness, Lord, what is going on? We are all just so touched by these sermons, and I hope that you can learn and be touched by them too. So with that said, I hope that you have a wonderful week. I hope that you can, whenever you're in need, that you feel like you can run to your Father in heaven and ask him for whatever you need, and know that just like Jesus redeemed the Shulamite woman, that he can redeem you too. Until next time, be baptized and be blessed.